Welcome everybody, it's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with another episode of VSW.
This one's a big tune.
That's right, folks. Big news flash up. Oh my God! VSW.
Brass hats know what time it is. Get up off of your seats and bow down to the king.
One of the greatest in this game, and one of my favorite all-time people in this game. The Versace Stoner!
It's places like this. I started in a mill. I'm here still in a mill. I consider myself a mill wrestler.
Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, Versace Stoner. We're here with another episode of VSW. Thank you. We have a very special guest, and it's the right season for him. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Drake Lovecraft.
Wretched be to thee, Versace Stoner. You have now the greatest guest on your show, the one and only, the voice of the wretched, Drake Lovecraft.
Very, very excited, and thank you for coming on. I know you're quite busy. You have a whole family to be watching over, but
I've got a babysitter watching them tonight. They're gonna be okay, just fine.
I love it. And the thing is, this is the perfect season to kind of have you on. I watch all your posts, and I've seen this. I follow the Let's Go, and I followed all that. Something about, October and Halloween and everything. It's just like, well, now it's even like 10 times more the effect.
I'm wearing the Donkey Boy Bandits magic hat to match the colors for the season.
Oh, we're going to talk about that match. We've got a big match coming up. I was looking at the card and family involved now. So we're going to get into all that more, but I'm going to start kind of back to the beginning. Are you related to like HP by any chance?
H.P. Lovecraft? He's like a distant fourth or fifth cousin of the Lovecraft family. What you're going to find out when you do a bit of research about us is that we're like old blood. You know what I mean, baby? Old school blood. And cousin H.P.
Yes.
Cousin HP, he was in contact with the famished gods long before the rest of us were. He just paved the way.
So true. I mean, I'm a big occult fan in general. I mean, it's just much as I am a wrestling fan. So, and part of that horror is, reading horror books. All that and all of that. Part of my I've dabbled in the dark arts quite often.
I can tell. I could see that the shimmers of darkness around that spirit of yours, my friend. Oh, you'd make a worthy addition to the dark side.
Maybe someday when all my podcasting work is done, maybe I'll just go and give in all that hate and anger. And
the famished gods are always there for you.
So, tell me, when did you get into, wrestling? When did you get into, coming out in space?
Pardon me, I didn't get your question. Would you mind repeating that for me, please?
When did you start to begin to wrestling? When did you come out and start fighting? Fighting other guys. Obviously you were hiding somewhere, I guess, for a while, and then you made your on the scene in May.
Well, Versace, it's a long story, filled with twists and turns and ups and downs. But to give the short and sweet of it, I had drank from the cup of life. I had smoked anything that could be smoked, drank all that could be drank, tasted the pleasures of the flesh, anything money could buy. My family gave it to me on a silver platter. And yet there was a hole in me, an emptiness that I just couldn't find a way to fill. And then one day, the famished gods visited me in a dream, and they showed me Hatchet, and they showed me the ring, and they told me that when you get into that ring, you will be immortal. So this is my quest. Let's Wrestle is my first stone, the first step in my ascension to godhood and immortality. And it starts in this, and it starts in the ring. And it starts in the carnage that I can inflict there, free of rules, restrictions, and regulations.
Wow. I mean, that's quite impressive. And like you said, in the gist of it. So, I mean, in the gist of it, you basically got kind of bored with them. Well, it's not even the so mundane life that you were living extravagantly. You got like, well, just bored of just human life. And that sound of immortality, well, it sounds pretty good now, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It does. Nothing tastes sweeter, my friend. Nothing tastes sweeter than the ripple of the air when you step into that ring and you hear the lower people boo you or cheer you. There is no drug that can match that. There is no high that can match that.
There is, and you know, and it's one of the oldest forms. I mean, look at look back in history. You got gladiators fighting in large arenas. You got people always trying to prove their strength, their worth to the next man, and also entertain at the same time. If you can't beat them, well, make them laugh. You seem to kind of, if you can't beat them, scare them.
Ruin their fun. If I can't beat them, ruin their good day.
Reminds me of the old Doink when he used to just come out just to make the kids cry, nothing more.
Yes, the old Doink. He's immortalized in the pantheon of gods. Let me tell you that.
It is, and that's another thing that really draws me to you as somebody on the wrestling scene. There's not a lot of characters to pull it off. There's not a lot of people that do it. Everything is about being just themselves. Some of them have they want to be icons. They want to be this. You went back to something that always grasped me. Whether it was the Undertaker, Papa Shango, the Boogeyman, even the late Bray Wyatt. All these guys had this darkness inside that they.
A moment. Let's have a moment of like follow the buzzards for the great and late Bray Wyatt, a true inspiration and one of the best characters in a very, very long time. Wretched B. Yes, you are right. The characters that we like are always the ones that are extravagant and huge. The mundane is normal.
It is, and and that's something if you've been on any long enough, it's actually more and more normal. But then stuff that's not normal is what kind of pops. And, you've been someone like I said, I've watched you comment, I've watched talk, and kind of get in there, and it's been great watching because it's not a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of dark side of characters. Everybody wants to make things happen. So lucky, positive, I'm the good guy, but nobody wants to be that dark. Nobody wants to represent the dark. A lot of people want to be it, but don't know how to.
Well, it's a muddied water. Wrestling or the ring is a simple narrative in many ways. It's the good versus the bad, and maybe the ugly. But if we get confused, if you confuse the audience, you lose the audience because they're so simple. But they get confused if you give them something too complicated. So they need to know who the bad guy is, and they need to know who the good guy is. They need to know who the villain is and who the hero is. And if I can break your heroes and make you cry about it, that's just delicious to me.
Yeah, I'm always like people's villains are my heroes. I would go to the movie and be like, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so glad." I'm like, why? Like the bad guy died. He was the best part of it.
I agree.
That's not even realistic. Why does that good guy even get that last energy of superhuman strength to pull that off? Like the bad guy had it won. I've always just been like, and wrestling has been the same with me. I've kind of always it's just always been more entertaining. They've always been the person that kind of. It's easy to be somebody that you like, kind of, do something that that's kind of in with the crowd and kind of be one of them. But he hated, and to do it on purpose, well, that's special. And you got to have such a thick skin for it that I'm really impressed.
I have had children say, call me names that would make a sailor blush. I've had people throw things at me, and I am happy because that means I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, which is getting under your skin and getting you angry and getting you booing.
So that's kind of a follow-up to my next question I was going to ask is, what do you do with that negativity? How do you're coming off a show, you've got a lot of hate. It's good, but it also somewhat might affect, you kind of in the back of your head or the subconscious. How do you brush that stuff off? So you just,
Oof. I can't answer all those questions because my lawyer has told me not to answer all questions on podcasts when they're asked. But honestly, it's my high. They don't get it, but I love it when they're doing that. Thank you for hating me. I bask in it. I soak in it. I love it. I luxuriate in everybody's spite and hatred. So when they're giving it to me, oof, oof. I was talking about the high of coming through the curtain and going into the ring, but the high of having people eat out of your hand and react the way you want them to react. Oh, that's power, baby. That's gold.
that's almost like the fight of, it's talking about the game that like pain. When they go into a fight, it's like, they can hit me all you want. I'm enjoying it. I've already won the fight, and that's kind of like the attitude you're going in. You can say whatever. That's more food, I'm going to even burn harder.
Exactly. Oh, there's a great line from the late Heath Ledger where he makes a mention of I forget the line. I'm sorry. I think about him. Another dark soul that needed to live a little bit longer.
Unfortunately, the dark all goes. It's sad, but
a hero is only as interesting as the villain he is chasing. Boring villain, boring hero. The hero needs us, but we don't need the hero.
So true though. So you jumped on the scene. You started to take on challenges, fight people. You have anybody in mind that you wanted to, take down? See people like on TV and I'm gonna destroy them.
Well, the first targets on my list were MSP because MSP at a show came up to me and said that I wasn't worthy to be in the ring then.
Now is this older MSP or like 5?
Oh, this is old school. Not back in the day, but about 3 years ago. And they told me I wasn't worthy. So you know what I did? I used my brain. And I got myself some friends. And I got those friends to do the hurting for me. Because if I can't be in the ring fighting them, then I'm going to get someone else to go and fight them and hurt them for me. And then the Seawolves manifested themselves into my life. The brute Dylan Nix and the cruel soul of submission, Levi Spade. Both of them students of the dark arts. Both of them ready to hurt anyone I tell them to hurt. Oof. A match made in heaven, or hell, if you'd say.
That's quite a team. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail. I want to go back a little bit about that MSC comic, because that's kind of ironic in a way that they said, you can't really make it, you're not whatever you are. When, if I'm putting the math together and the time right, that's about the time they kind of blew it all for the X-Men division in Limitless. Like, putting here in Blackwood at all. They lost horribly to MSP. I mean, to the Prestige. They broke them up. They made Dylan Nix. They made their leader there cry and throw his buoy in the ring. Everybody was just a total mess at that show after that. And it's kind of funny that it's around that same period, 2021. Around that time. So I'm like, kind of ironic. But I'm glad you didn't let that stop you, and that you found a new kind of family to belong to, or to have them belong to you.
Well, we look out for each other. I care for my family so much. You know that. You can feel that when we're talking the vibe, the love, they're my family. I would not necessarily step on a landmine for them, but I would definitely take a move or two for them. I would take, punishment if it meant they're going to get their victory. And through my ingenious manipulations, my team was able to get a tag team title shot at Let's Wrestle against MSP. We've been a thorn in their sides, and the best they could do was just give up after they'd beaten us and walk away, even though we've been poking at them for a while. Those cowards know that we got their number. We're going to get them. One day, sooner or later, I've got their number, and my team is going to take them out.
That would be an interesting thing, you know, and I would like to see that on, you know, any of the you know, programs that take place out there in Maine. You know, MSV, like I said, they are known, and they are a very known tag team in the area. And
they are formidable adversaries, and I will give them that much.
They are. Above the rest, don't think so much again. They're having problems on with their own teams right now as well. You know, in a heavy feud, and but they still come out. They still dazzle and razzle. So I mean, like I said, they've gone through many changes. You know, like I said, with that whole thing, and Alexander Lee kind of having to step away. They rebranded, came back a little bit more brighter, a little bit more colorful. Still the same, you know. Let's go fight spirit. There's nothing really bad. I can say this, that you know, seeing your family, I've seen what they do in the ring, and they're not here to fight. They're very dangerous. I've seen, you know, I've seen him wrestle individually. He's a monster. I mean, how'd you even get him to like join your side?
Dylan Nix is a suplex machine, a in-ring brilliant genius. The man has an intellect that rivals my own. But you wouldn't know that based on what you see in the ring, because he just keeps that to himself. He had humility. He was humble. He would hide his greatness because he was ashamed. He wanted to look normal like everybody else. And it took me to tell him, Dylan Nix, you are a genius. A dangerous genius, a cruel genius, and you know how to hurt people. You know how to break people. You know how a body works on the anatomic level in a way that would rival a surgeon. And I want to unleash that on anybody. A cruel surgical powerhouse capable of breaking anything and anyone in his way. And all it took was me believing in him for him to let me in. Because I believe in my boys.
No, and that's it. I feel like somebody didn't, because he was kind of out there doing his thing, but he was very quiet. He wasn't getting the right pushes. His in-ring ability, 110%. His suplex is one of the best. I will always say that. You know, I remember seeing him. He's another person I kind of followed in 2020. You know, during that pandemic. We're going to talk a little bit about that, because it, you know, affects so many people. But you know, I remember the road and all of that was taking place. So, and pandemic in the dojo as well. So a lot of great shows were taking place. We got a lot of these guys.
You were a very well learned man, my friend.
and one of the people that, you know, just fell into place was, you know, Dylan Nix. I brought him on early on in his career. And, you know, he was very humble, very shy, and I got to see, you know, now since then I've got to see trucks across me. We got a Massachusetts all the way up to one time up to like, I think it was like, there's way out show. He's made his way around, you know, and he's much better and so much more in himself. He believes in himself. Like, that's hardly find that out in him.
There is a difference between knowing you're the best and believing you are the best. Dylan Nix knew that he was a genius, knew that he was one of the best. But it took someone really believing in him, really seeing what he was and believing in that. And just now he believes in himself. He believes he's going to pull it off. And I know he will. Him and Levi, they've already got tag gold in other promotions. Those Let's Championships, they're as good as ours. It's just a matter of time. I've seen the writing on the wall. The golden prophecy. It's all coming to the Seawolves.
Now, let me ask you something. We're going to go back a little bit in time. Were you already in the scene in 2020, you know, when the pandemic struck?
I had just started my training, was routinely doing shows just as a background player. I admit that it was not the funnest time for me. You don't have a person like Drake Lovecraft assembling the ring or putting chairs. But if that's what was going to get me into the ring, then that's what I would do. And I had just started making appearances at the Let's Wrestle shows and at the dojo training shows.
Yep.
Just started. And then the pandemic hit. And we were all just isolated and hidden. And while others just languished, I thrived and promoted and developed myself and grew and trained nonstop because I knew that ring wasn't going anywhere. I knew that Let's Wrestle and Limitless weren't going anywhere. And so I trained and when the ring opened up again, we could go back into that ring and train. And at first it was just a few students that could go in because we had to respect those regulations. Well, I was back and ready. I was ready to get back into that ring. I was ready to unleash all kinds of hell.
You were one of those wrestlers that sorry, I was gonna say you're one of those wrestlers that kind of capitalized on the extra time. A few people did it great. I have to say, I don't know names, but like one that always had a pop sensation back. He came, before the pandemic. She was big effect after the pandemic. Like he worked in a character, worked promos, and practice. Things that you can't normally do because you're too busy every week. And I think you kind of did the same thing. You really kind of fine-tune what you want to do. Like you get into the process.
Well, I was willing to get dirty, and that is an important thing while you're growing. Is at first I came in and I wore a mask, and I hid behind that mask, and people started telling me that it was a crutch because they didn't believe that I was who I said I was while I wore that mask. And it took Brett BRG telling me that he didn't buy the mask for a goddamn second for me to go, oh, you don't buy the monster? You don't buy the mask? And so from that moment on, I ditched the mask, and here's my face. And there is nothing to hide behind. And it took all of that training, all that promo time, all that getting dirty time to realize that I needed to do this to even start getting over.
Math can be used to share the public, sometimes it's but if you like
True. Well, they often say that, like, in the wrestling world, it's your face that sells everything, And if they can't see what I'm selling, McCarthy, the masshole, one day takes me aside after he's driven my face into the mat with his little move with him and little Alexander Lee, tells me, you know what? You've got a face that needs to be on television. So you keep on showing it. So I show it.
It's always great. You gotta honestly, when other wrestlers tell you video, of the time, it works, and they're telling you this so it works. And you don't need to be the person like, no, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
That goes to being kind of humble too, and going back to that. Again, like I said, out of Maine and a lot of you had that.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that last question there, my friend. You got to repeat.
I was just saying that I do, I talked to a lot of wrestling. Like you said, and out of Maine is the humility out of being able to take advice and criticism and use it.
Well, at the risk of sounding like an old sensei, We're all stones polishing ourselves in the river. And if I fight every time someone tells me that I'm not doing something right, all I'm going to do is resist the polishing process, and they're not going to get the refined image that you're getting right now. So that's why we got to listen to each other. If I'm giving you advice, it's not because I think I'm better than you. It's because I see better in you. And maybe you don't see it, but I do. I always see it. And if I can get that better out of you, amazing. Wrestling and the art benefits from all of us getting better and doing better, including myself. But don't tell anybody else that.
It is 100% true, though. Every show that's put on this, they'll always make it better, make pro wrestling look better. It makes it sometimes it gets bad rap, do dumb stuff or things that look right. And fans are very connected. It's very hard to put everything. And again, the negative side of things go out of hand. And that's why I love, and that's why I love putting on the word out there. Wrestling in general, that it's, independent wrestling really is, honestly. A lot of it that I've seen is honestly like basically the same as WWE, just without, production, without $1 million sitting behind the production. Wrestling, same. Greatest wrestlers come out of Maine. I've seen some of the greatest actors. I'm in the early days of MJF. You got people like Casey Mirror, you got like you got people that have been on TV and back people that stayed on. You got Christian Casanova. He's been out there now. He's got all these great stars coming out of the area.
All names that 10, 15 years from now are going to be like those legendary names that we put on lists and talk about and go, oh, that person there, he was one of the big innovators of his time. We don't see the innovation when it's happening, but once it's happened, oof, you're immortalized and legendary. A lot of those guys, they've already gained their immortality. We're going to talk about them forever.
We will, and it's funny. And then, it was like, well, I remember when they were, in the VSW, whoever this guy, and they had this, and it'll be like that. It's cool to see people, just kind of moving on. But I'm speaking you, talking about, I know it's, I'm a stylish person, my name. Obviously, I have to ask, what's up with the stylish?
What's up with the what?
Stylish.
This little hat? Why, this here is the Donkey Boy Bandit's orange hat that I, maybe allegedly stole from him. But I can just feel the mojo in it, You could, you put it on and you're just feeling it. It's like, it's like a silk rope. Like a silk rope for my head. I feel so powerful wearing it. I feel like I could conquer a rumble and maybe become a #1 contender. I feel like I could beat the Donkey Boy one-on-one in a fight with this here hat. And I bet you he's having a bad time right now wishing he could get it back. But he ain't getting it back. This is my hat now. It wants to be with me. Yes, it wants to be with me. Sorry, it was just telling me something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks very much like,
I think it looks better on me than it ever did on him. That's my personal opinion.
No, not for nothing, but it's kind of eyeing me on it. I was trying to eye it, and it's kind of eyeing me back. So I'm like, I gotta ask something.
It's got a personality of its own, all right? Hatchet, I got to keep Hatchet and the Hat separate sometimes because they get into a fight like cats.
Tell me about Hatchet.
Like cats and hats.
Oh, yes. Yes. And that's the thing, like I said, like kind of really isn't normal, but I'm glad that, you're going to keep it and it's going to be yours, but, obviously you're going to try to get it back. I mean, you got to
Oh, I'm training in the ring right now because next on November 11th, Doug Weiser, that waste of human jism, has got himself handcuffed to me to keep me out of that match between my Seawolves and my best friend, Big Cat Tyler Adams. and Donkey Boy Bandit superfan John Austin and whatever loser they can get team up against them. And they think me being handcuffed to Doug Wise is going to stop me from messing with them? Oof, they don't know Drake Lovecraft. They don't know Drake Lovecraft. I've got the hat, I've got Hatchet, and I got my boys. Oh, we're coming out with a Lovecraft family win that night. You mark my words.
No, I think we're all going to be looking forward to this match. Like I said, the rivalry is back and forth, and obviously, they're happening, once object, and again, like I said, do you have any ideas or no matter who they choose? Doesn't
Pardon me?
who they choose to be an opponent, you don't really care, do you?
Oof, I don't know just yet. I got my guesses here and there, but for the moment, the Let's Wrestle management team have been pretty secretive about who they're talking to for that match. For good reasons, too. Because if I find out who it is, I'm going to mess with them, too.
So you definitely are someone that goes, I like to get behind the scenes a little bit, to say, and kind of, turn the knobs a little bit.
It's not all about what you do in the ring, baby. It's about what you can do behind the scenes as well. What people who watch the show, and you're a smart fan, you know what I'm talking about when I say people see the show, that's like looking at the head of the snake. But you don't see the rest of the body backstage and everything else that's going on. And that's where I get to work my magic. Grease a few palms, if you know what I'm saying.
Kind of like Triple H, on Michael back in the day, worked away to the top, kind of kindness and a little just
Master politicians, both of them, I say.
Wrestling politics. That's a whole nother episode, though. That's a whole episode.
Don't worry, for a future episode.
Yeah. Maybe we'll vote you mayor. But so how can fans see this on 11/11? You keep throwing this magical date, and it is a magical number. 11/11 makes a wish.
I'm not gonna share. I want it to come true.
Well, if you share, it won't come true. You gotta
Exactly. Yeah.
But
keep your wish to yourself as well, right?
How can fans catch it? How can fans see it?
If fans are trying to find and reach Drake Lovecraft, they can find Drake Lovecraft on Facebook as Drake Lovecraft. They can find me on Instagram as Drake Lovecraft. They can find me on TikTok as Drake Lovecraft. And they can find me on X or Twitter or whatever people are calling it these days as Drake Lovecraft. Just Drake Lovecraft. I was lucky when I went and did my little name search, no one had found it yet. It hadn't been taken. So all of them are just Drake Lovecraft on all those platforms.
Don't have to put no fancy numbers or any symbols. That's great.
Nope, just Drake Lovecraft. If he's not wearing an orange hat though, it's an imposter account. It isn't me. Orange hat. That's how you can tell it's the legitimate Drake Lovecraft. And if Hatchet wants to say that if he's in the pictures as well, that's also a way of knowing that that it's a real account. Yeah.
I got one more question before you go. Just where'd you find that?
Ooh, Hatchet. Hatchet, if you will believe it, was in the woods one day in a crater in a dark, dark pile of branches. And he'd been there in my family land for a while, and no one could pick him up. No one. Because kind of like, Mjolnir, that super hammer that only the best, goodest, and nicest person can pick up. Well, only the truly wretched can wield Hatchet. And when I walked into the woods that one night, found me Hatchet and picked him up effortlessly, I knew I had a friend for life. Isn't that right, little baby? Aww.
Your sword in the stone. You're the one to pull it. Very cool story. Very awesome. I love it. It's just one more tool in your pocket. And that hat. You're quite the force to be reckoned with.
Oh, Let's Wrestle was the stepping stone. But the future, oof, I want my future to be limitless, if you know what I'm saying.
Spoiler alert. But yes, I could definitely see it in there, and I'm a fan of both. I have to say again, thank you for coming on the show. We will see you at Let's Wrestle 11/11, and we will see you and your boys grab that victory.
You have yourself a positively wretched evening, Versace. And remember, I'm here for you if you ever want to join the dark side. Yeah. And that's not just elementary. That's Lovecraft's Law.
Well, there you have it, folks. You might just have to take him up on that offer, honestly. That family does look a little spicy. But thank you everyone for watching. Check out Let's Wrestle. Check out Limitless Wrestling. And as always, support indie wrestling. There's Andy Summer. Out.
Welcome to the Kill City Cup. I got the world by the